Hey, how's it going? I'm Jackson. I'm here to quickly talk to you about the Steam Deck, somewhat in a response of people asking, why would you ever get the 64 gigabyte model? Um, Namely, as someone who owns a GPD Win 3, sort of the kind of a precursor in a way to the Steam Deck. Um, but why someone may want the 64 gigabyte version. Now, that's not to say that I recommend it over the other versions. The nature of what I've seen so far about the Steam Deck is, even though the solid state drive on there seems to be an M.2, possibly could be theoretically upgraded. Valve did indicate that it's not intended for user replacement, so that could mean either your warranty is void if you try to open it up, or it's just really not a great disassembly process to get to that SSD. So I generally say if you are looking to get this system and you can afford at least 256 gigabytes, go for that one. Just because we don't know what that looks like right now. If you feel like, yeah, I could totally completely disassemble it and then slap in my own SSD, or I'll take a Dremel and put in a bigger SSD, go for it, my dude. Just, for most people, I'd say at least 256. If you really wanted to, 512 gigabytes, but there's probably some better, cost effective ways of storage at that point. Valve did indicate that everything IGN was playing on that was running off an SD card. So maybe 256 gigabytes with SD card. But, anyways, we're not here for that. We're here for the 64 gigabyte version. And why someone might want this. I've seen a lot of people say, one, eMMC, and two, it's 64 gigabytes. Why would anyone want this? Well, here's the thing. The best thing for you is the thing that you can afford. So if you can't afford the 256 gigabyte version, and let's say you only had, $500 to spend, 400 or 500, well, this becomes a much better value proposition than any other gaming slash computing option that I've looked into. Now, this is not to say that if you already have a computing or a gaming setup already in the equation, that it's going to work for you. If you've already got a Threadripper 30 series $2,000 gaming PC, or you just got a PS5, or you're still rocking the PS4 Pro, or the Switch or whatever, maybe it's still not necessarily for you because you've kind of got something already going on. But if you were someone like, let's say, a college student in the before times where you'd go to a dorm and you need to have some type of computer situation, but also probably want to play some games, you are going to have a hard time finding anything that's going to match what this can do for gaming and computing compared to anything else on the market. So I've made some price comparisons of what we're kind of looking at. So the let's first start with, I think, one of the best budget options for the consoles currently, which is the Xbox Series S, starting at $300. Pair that with Game Pass, $15 a month. That's $315 for the first month, and you've got like 100 plus games. But now you still need a laptop option. Well, okay, we've got around 200 to spend. I've set this to 400. We're going to do 200. Well, now we've limited us to one Chromebook. That's not going to be a super fun computer to use. It's doable. And you can find cheaper options elsewhere. But for the sake of the argument, we're not going to really do budget hunting. Because if you're that motivated to find a deal, you're going to find it. But this is just, I would like to pay money for this now. Thank you. So you're going to be able to do some document stuff and things. It's not going to be super fun, but it's doable. Now, sub that out, and there you go. Sub that out for a Nintendo Switch. $300. Now you're adding $60 into this. I don't know why. Because I added, right. So that's probably going to look more like that. So, you sub out the Xbox for a Nintendo Switch. That can be docked. We're doing the $300 because we're not going to factor in the OLED model. You then get one $60 game. Then that same Chromebook, you're at $528. A bit over the $500 mark we were shooting for. It's, you're going to have a good gaming experience with the Switch. Just flat, just regardless. There are great games on there. There is a Nintendo tax to buying these games. Like, you will find some deals. It's not going to be as good as other things, like, example, Steam. We go to the Switch Lite, very doable console, $200. You can't dock it anymore, so it's only handheld at that point. $60 for a game. Now, that gives us an extra $100 for a laptop, possibly even a gaming laptop, if I say. And what better gaming laptop than the Geo Book 120 Minecraft Edition? I've never heard of this before, but it came up when I was searching for something that could be that price. And it's the only Windows laptop to come up in this search. So you can play Minecraft on it. Maybe. I don't know. But yes, so at that point, we're still hovering around that $520 mark. Another weird way to go about it is instead of a computer, you get an iPad. Some people have argued that this is better than a budget Chromebook. So we're going to take this for an example. 32 gigabytes, probably not what you want, but it's only $329. Pair that with, what did I go with? A keyboard that is, $45. And then I said a Switch Lite. That brings you to... I should just look at these again. $574, and that's not including a Switch game. You're getting a better computing experience, possibly, compared to the last several. And then you have some gaming options on the actual iPad itself. So you will be able to play probably more games on the iPad than you would be able on the Chromebook or that GeoBook. Don't quote me. I haven't seen the GeoBook. It may blow everything out of the water. But you're now getting much higher in there. Now, if we really wanted to do budget hunting, and I, as a retro game collector, love this option, is go for older consoles that are still HD consoles, and you can pick up super cheap. So Xbox, that's going to run you roughly around $90. $20 is going to get you a bundle of either a game lot, or you can find some really common, cheap, but good games for $20. Then we can go up to about $300 in terms of what we can spend for a computer. I've already put that in. And that will get you Samsung 15-inch Chromebook. It doesn't look like it's much better in terms of the internal specs, but bigger laptop, that might be nicer. That's going to take you at $400. Alternatively, I know I said we weren't doing bargain hunting. However, this is a buy now. Let's ignore the shipping price. That's a lot. But a PS4 Slim with 6 games, $250. Then we pair that again with the mighty GeoBook Minecraft, because that's closer to $250. And that takes you at $510. Now, if we want to try and do what one person I was watching, Alana Pierce, they're great. They were asking the question, why would you buy the 64 gigabyte version? Hang on, my cat is having a fit. Are we in nightmare? All right, so this is going to happen with the cat now. All right, so going back. So if we wanted to take what Alana was mentioning streaming at a little point. If we want to use connecting your phone to a controller and such, say, all right, $4.90, $50, you get a controller mount thing, whatever. That should be, as cost effective as we're going to get there. That actually gives us room, say, if we used a desktop PC as our streaming backend on top of all the other streaming services there are, we get this HP AMD Ryzen 3 desktop at $479. So that's going to be a much better computing experience. That's going to give you a much better gaming experience compared to the other sort of laptops and things. That comes out at $529, not including a monitor or speakers or anything like that. Everything prior, you didn't need that with. With this, kind of do. Steam Deck. Actually, it's $400. $400 for that. So here's my reasoning to this. The Steam Deck would give you a much better gaming performance compared to these budget options that we've been looking at. I would assume even compared to that desktop. I don't know. I have not seen metrics. And you would also, if you were planning to connect it to do actual work, then you're gonna have to buy a keyboard, a monitor, a mouse. But if we said 500's our budget, I mean, you're not gonna get great stuff, but maybe it's possible to find some solution for that, even if it's plugging it into someone's TV. You will find there will be cheaper options to get some kind of display to connect to rather than getting the system itself, is my only thing I say there. So not only is that going to give you gaming on the go, well, gaming while docked, it's also going to get you streaming, because you will be able to stream games to your Steam Deck. You're a nightmare. That's going to get you game streaming. So Game Pass, you would be able to stream, if you had a PS4, stream from there. Again, what I took into the beginning of this said, ignore, if you have something set up, then you probably don't need it. But still, stream from another system, stream from the cloud. It's a full computer. You can stream media, do pretty much anything a computer has to do. I don't know how powerful it would be in terms of say video editing or something like that. Taking into account it also runs Linux opposed to Windows. However, you can install Windows on it if you really wanted to. I don't know what video editing and more creative software is going to look like on that if you wanted to load Windows up and then put the Adobe Creative Suite on there. It's probably not going to be amazing, but compared to all the other options we've looked at, only the desktop kind of gets you close to that. And even then, you forego any portable gaming option whatsoever. And you're still having to get a monitor and everything else like that. When you start thinking about the barrier to entry of accomplishing these things and having at least an enjoyable, passable experience gaming on a PC hardware or something like that, it starts to make the 64 gigabyte version look a lot more appealing. To compare this to the GPD Win 3. And there's other gaming handhelds that came out earlier through crowdfunding. All of them reach around $1,000. all of them run Windows. All of them, they're somewhat different compared to the Steam Deck. But the reason being, and Low Spec Gamer made a great video about this stuff. I highly recommend his content. The thing is, they don't have Steam's revenue to offset and sell this at a loss. I bet you Valve is selling the 64 gigabyte version at a big loss. To get anywhere close to that $400 price for something like this, even if you're skipping out on storage, which the 64 gigabyte version still has an SD card. So in theory, if Valve is saying like everything was being played off a SD card, this 64 gigabyte version may not be a terrible issue. The to get that close there is astounding. It's mind blowing to see that kind of price. And it's got to be a huge gamble for Valve to market that low a price. Because trying to get, I've had a lot of people come to me asking for computer gaming advice, PC gaming in terms of building a system, getting into Steam, and these things. And I love my rig here. So the thing is, when I ask what they want out of their system, they typically say they want X, Y, and Z that's far above what their budget allows. So having the ability to say, well, just get a Steam Deck, just get this 64 gigabyte version, just do X, Y, and Z to compensate for the 64 gigabytes or whatever. Having the ability to say that instead of, all right, here's the exact like gaming PC we have to build in order to meet somewhat of your demand there. It will open a lot more doors than I think some people anticipate. I've in the past, when I've had to recommend gaming laptops, I always more or less had to say like, hey, sure, you can go under $1,000 for a gaming laptop and have a passable experience, but $1,000 for a laptop, that's where you get, if you're planning to really game on this thing, that's where you're going to get the most kind of bang out of it. Unless you're really willing to compromise on build quality, on your fidelity, or your time in order to tinker with things to optimize them to run with that laptop. The laptop I did recommend to a friend not that long ago was the Asus G14, and this one is a little bit more expensive than the one. You probably can't find the one that I recommended to him, but it was something essentially this model last year. So it came with the 20 series instead, and it was priced around $1,300. And I said, that is the best value you can possibly get for PC gaming for right now in terms of a laptop and things. That is outstanding. Get this. Got it. No issues. But that's still that's $1,000 more than what this Steam Deck is. The Steam Deck compared to this, while you're still not going to have that functionality of a laptop as an actual laptop, obviously, and you're not going to be able to have the performance of a 3060 with 1 terabyte SSD, to still come within some remote spectrum within that range at $1,000 less is outstanding. You're still not going to get the performance of that laptop, but what you are going to get is a pretty solid 720p PC gaming experience on the go, and then a pretty solid PC experience when at home to be able to do all the work you need to do. Possibly, maybe a little video editing or creative stuff. And, you know, good enough PC gaming while docked. The not going into technical specs, but the it shouldn't perform so terribly, tremendously, amazingly better when you dock it to a power source. It'll be a little better, I think, just because I'm sure they're optimizing this to be handheld primarily and not super performant when docked. This is gonna be probably the best possible little handheld PC that you can buy to be able to play games and also get other things done. So yeah, in conclusion, in looking at this, again, if you can afford the 256 gigabyte version, I at least say go for that. That seems like, until I'm proven wrong, that seems like the best value, just because the upgrade for the SSD might be more trouble than it's worth. The etched glass sounds pretty nice, however, probably not worth that big step up. But if you can't afford that, or if you think you can run off an SSD, get the $400 version. That's not even taking into account of the massive backlog of games on PC. For example, I tried to boot up the remaster of Burnout Paradise for PC on my little Win 3. Couldn't get it working. Intel drivers just made it not work at all. Well, PC already had a version called the Ultimate Box way back when it released. Put that on there and it ran just fine. Now, you can't really do that with a console. If there's a remaster, it's a different generation. So you could get I guess if there was a, say, like Xbox One or PS4 version of game, and then they remastered it for PS5 or Xbox Series, you could opt to play whichever version you wanted. If there was some reason it didn't work, Nintendo Switch, you're playing the Nintendo Switch version just as far as you can tell. And if there's any reasons you don't like that version compared to whatever version came out before, the DS version, the Game Boy version, the GameCube version, you don't get access to that unless you go to the actual hardware that it's on, that actual game. Whereas if you bought, say, a game years ago, 10 years ago on Steam, you've still got that on Steam. It may not fully work, or you might need to tinker with some things to get it working, but it's there. And the Steam Deck's probably going to run it. And then again, emulators, open source games, fan projects, mods. The mod potential might be a little bit of an issue on Linux. I don't know. But again, just install Windows at that point. I'd recommend trying Linux first. You might enjoy it, especially if you got the 64 gigabyte version. But that's all to say that, I think let's not discount what the 64 gigabyte $400 version of the Steam Deck is going to do. I think it opens up far more doors than we initially think. Now, hopefully at some point this becomes much more widely available in the world, because budget gaming options and budget PC gaming options is very important in other countries. So let's just hope that Valve eventually expands this outwards a bit more. But that's mostly my thoughts. Oh, hey, last little bit. If you're wondering, gee, Steam Deck, that's a real bad name. That really sucks. I'm not here to disagree. I am here to say my guess of why it's called the Steam Deck, it's because it's a cyber deck. It's a cyber deck. Get it? It's a little funky. It's a little funky PC deck thing. Those are called cyber decks. I don't make the marketing for this. This just seemed right. All right, that's all I had. That's all I had to say about it. This long rambly video. I hope you have a wonderful day and hopefully enjoy whatever gaming device or game you plan to get and just have fun with it because that's what it is at the end of the day. Bye.